This video is sponsored by Skillshare. The first 1,000 people who use the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. Stick around to the end to learn more. By 1997, Britpop was winding down, but Brit rock had a new wave of bands that preferred heaviness to cribbing from the Beatles. Amongst this lot were Feeder, framed as the plucky underdogs. At first dubbed the British Smashing Pumpkins, Feeder hit the scene delivering grunge-affected, heavy pop gems, imbued with heart, charm, and nostalgia for better days. Though they would score 20 top 40 singles, their 2001 hit About a Brand New Car would be the one that remains glued in the national consciousness, in spite of their frontman's enduring indifference to it. This is New British Canon, and this is the story of Buck Rogers. As early as 1991, guitarist Grant Nicholas and drummer John Lee from Newport, Wales, had been in groups together, flirting with names like Temper Temper and Real. However, by 1994, they had moved to London, joined up with Japanese-born bassist Taka Hirose, and started going by the name Feeder. Influences early on would be a mix of Sex Pistols, Nirvana, Black Sabbath, The Police, ABBA, and most markedly, the Smashing Pumpkins. This combination of punk, rock, and pop would be the formula that Feeder would blend into their own songs. I do love heavy music, but I also like good tunes. You can be as intense as you want, but still have a good melody in the song. An early version of this crunchy sweet recipe would catch the ears of the Echo label, who signed the group after being particularly impressed by the atypical acoustic Suffocate. After releasing EP Swim in 1996, Feeder set their alt-rock cards on the table with their debut full-length, Polyphene, in May 1997. Though it would peak at a less than stellar number 65 on the UK album chart, it would be named Metal Hammer's Album of the Year and feature in Kerrang's End of Year Top 10. Early singles Tangerine, Cement, and Crash would climb up the UK singles chart with each successive release. But Feeder's first notable hit was High, released in October 1987, and what Kerrang described as a British reimagining of the Smashing Pumpkins today. It's a really simple song. There are only about 3 chords in it, but the lyrics seemed to connect with people. I could probably write a similar melody again, but not those words. It's a very youthful song. As well as smashing Crash's previous UK chart best, peaking at a lofty 24, opposed to the former single's number 48. High would also become the closest thing Feeder would ever come to a US radio hit. Via label dealings, High had managed to make its way onto the soundtrack of Replacement's monikered teen comedy, Can't Hardly Wait. As such, through listener requests, it became a modest hit on college radio, peaking at number 24 on the Billboard Modern Rock chart. Feeder, wanting to capitalize on this success, spent the next 9 months touring the US, as support varyingly for the Foo Fighters, Everclear, and Stabbing Westward. All in all, Feeder would play 125 shows across America over 1998, attempting to develop a following, but mostly ending up tired, homesick, and worse for wear, Nicholas having broken his ankle partway through. I'm not in this to just be a one-hit wonder. I'm not ready to hang my guitar up yet. I'm 30. It's taken me a while to get there, but I've learned so much in the last 3 or 4 years. I feel as though I've now got more to say. Insomnia, off their follow-up, 1999's Yesterday Went Too Soon, would delve into and reference Nicholas's experiences on this tour.
Takes me back to better days, summer rays, the Everglades and June.
But also fondly flashes back to home, and how this was his dream growing up in Wales.
Thinking back to younger days, as I escape in Cooper's break.
Along with the chorus continuing his lyrical love affair with over-the-counter drugs.
Drinking myself to sleep again, 9 pills to keep me sane.
It would be their biggest UK hit so far, reaching number 22. Although Yesterday Went Too Soon would enter the UK album chart at number 8. After years of touring both the UK and US, Feeder remained minor players in the rock scene. In 1999, their fellow Welshmen, Stereophonics and Manic Street Preachers, were playing arenas on the back of #1 albums and chart-smashing singles. Feeder had built up a strong cult following, but were barely selling out theatres. Though stuck in a rut, their move into the major leagues would arrive 2 years later. Having self-produced Yesterday Went Too Soon, Feeder wanted to go with a name producer for what would hopefully be their breakthrough. Gil Norton of Pixies, Echo and the Bunnymen and Foo Fighters fame was their pick. But with his busy schedule, Nicholas would snag his attention with a new song, reminiscent of the Pixies' quiet loud dynamics, called Buck Rogers. I demoed the song on an 8-track at the Crypt, and I knew that Gil Norton was working with an American band, SR-71, and my name had been put forward as a co-writer with them. So I wrote these rough guide lyrics. I had madnesses I'd been driving in my car, rattling around my head at the time.
It's not quite a Jaguar. Looks like a Jaguar.
But didn't care because it wasn't going to be my song anyway. The guide lyrics feature some left-of-center choices, and is the rare song that uses the phrase CD player more than once.
It's got a CD
But the thematic core of this new song, as always with Feeder, came from a place of personal experience. The crux of the song inspired by Nicholas's ex, who had started dating a high-class advertising executive.
He's got a brand new car.
I was going through a breakup, and it was inspired by that.
But I don't wanna talk about it anymore.
I just put a load of words down without really thinking about them. It was supposed to be stupid and funny. It was never supposed to be used for anything. I thought it would be a B-side at best. The label went berserk for it though. I actually rewrote it and changed all the words. But Gil Norton, our producer, made me stick with the original. Lacking Nicholas's input, SR-71 would instead hook up with Marvelous Free songwriter Butch Walker and produce Right Now.
Why you always kick me when I'm high?
But now stuck with the impromptu words, Buck Rogers possessed one of the most intriguing mondegreens in British rock. Is it drink cider from 11 or from a lemon?
Drink cider from a lemon.
When I first started drinking underage with my mates, I'd drink cider because it was sweet, whereas most booze tasted like shit. It sounds really lightweight, but we used to mix it with lemonade. And when we started out as a band, we used to tour down in Devon, building a fan base.
Get a house in Devon.
They were all little flashbacks. Now that Norton was on board for Feeder's album, it took the band a while to get acclimatized with the Doolittle producer's way of working, generating friction from his reliance on the newfangled digital recording software, Pro Tools. I think Gil is a very talented guy, and basically I was fighting not to get that clean sound that Pro Tools can sometimes have. Linkin Park, for example, they use Pro Tools and you can hear it. I just wanted to have that live edge. We had a period where it all went a bit pear-shaped, but we're really good friends, and at the end of the day, this is quite a different sounding album for him. The title Buck Rogers came from the cult UK sci-fi show Buck Rogers in the 25th Century that Nicholas remembered from his childhood, and because the song implemented 80s synths, The name seemed to fit. But it was a point of contention with the Echo label, as they wanted the track to be named after the main chorus lyric, "We're gonna make it." I told them, are you mad? It doesn't have to be so bloody obvious. It can be called anything you want. We had a big row and it stayed as Buck Rogers. It's hard to hear, but it actually says Buck Rogers in the chorus, very low in the mix. Released in January 2001, Buck Rogers entered the UK singles chart at a sky-high number 5, remaining in the top 10 for 2 weeks. With its crunchy grunge fuck-off guitars, powerful drums, and anthemic rock chorus, Buck Rogers was an oddity in the top 10 at the time. On the rare occasions that a heavy rock song charted that high in the early 2000s, it would most definitely come from an American band.
It's my life, it's now or never. Say it ain't so, I will not go. Turn the lights off, carry me. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. 'Cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. 'Cause I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby.
British guitar music was currently synonymous with mellow acoustic acts like Travis, Coldplay, or Have a Nice Day era Stereophonics. As Nicholas said in a fanzine interview that year, "We proved that a British guitar band that doesn't have the profile of U2 can still get into the top 10. After taking a decade to reach this level of fame, the rest of 2001 would continue to be a high for Feeder, with 2 more top 30 singles in 7 Days in the Sun
Yeah, kiss my anthem.
and Turn.
I don't wanna see you waste their time.
This would result in copious Top of the Pops appearances, including an extra one for Nicholas in aid of his remix of Mark B and Blades, You Don't See the Signs. Released in May of that year, album Echo Park would be their highest charting yet, at number 5. As well as this, 3 of their tracks, Buck Rogers' 7 Days in the Sun, a non-album track, Just a Day, would appear on the Gran Turismo 3 soundtrack. Gaining them a whole new audience. The year was rounded out in December with the release of the Just a Day EP, charting at number 12. About the title track, Nicholas said, "I wrote it at the end of our second album and it just sort of hung around. It ended up on a computer game, and then it was a B-side, but the record company wanted to put it out as a single. I didn't want to though. I thought it was a bit of a cheat. It still amazes me that it's so popular. It's not a particularly happy song if you listen to the lyrics."
Who's gonna be there when I've lost control? I'm heading to crash land.
Paired with a cover of The Police's Can't Stand Losing You,
I can't stand losing. I can't stand losing.
it would be the last recorded output of drummer John Lee. He would commit suicide on the 7th of January. He was only 33. The loss of Lee hit the band hard, though they had already started work on the follow-up to Echo Park. As Lee had been with the band since the very start, it now looked like the end of Feeder. When I started writing songs for this album, we had a couple of rehearsals with John, and it was really positive. As a band, it was a great time, and that's what's so sad about it, because we were so positive. That's why when he died, it was a real shock. Nicholas and Hirose convened to discuss the band's future. Hirose wanted to take some time out to process the loss, and so spent 3 weeks with his family in Japan, not sure how to deal with his grief, and knowing that taking some time out would drive him closer to emotional breakdown. Nicholas returned to the studio and spent his time drinking a bit too much, and putting his raw feelings into song form. Whether these were for Feeder, a potential solo project, or his own peace of mind, at the time he just didn't know.
I don't even remember even being at the studio in some way, because I was there every day, but it almost became my little kind of escape pod in some way. You know, when it first happened and stuff, it was sort of, I said to Taco, I said, well look, it might seem a bit early and I felt almost kind of selfish sort of saying it at the time when something so horrible had happened, but I said, look, I really want to carry on doing this, I'm going to carry on. If you don't want to, I understand, but I need to.
By the time Hirose returned, Nicholas had 10 new songs, all soaked in the emotion of loss. This process of writing music as a coping mechanism was exemplified with what would become the album's title track, Comfort in Sound. That song came very quickly after John's death. The words just came out to a degree. It's only now, when I look back, that I can see exactly what I was writing about. There are definitely certain lines in that song that sum up exactly what I was going through.
Witness regrets, restricted in our own belief.
Hearing the quality of the songs, they decided to continue on with Feeder. Back again with Gil Norton, the process was smoother than Echo Park, with Nicholas's songs working without too much adjustment. Written as the sessions were winding down, was the second single and thematic core, Just the Way I'm Feeling. It was so simple, but I felt there was something I wanted to say. The lyrics and everything were very simple. I was trying to touch on the Lennon thing. Some of the best Beatles songs are really simple, but just sound great. I don't know if I got close, but that's kind of where it's coming from.
You close your eyes for someplace new.
All in all, Comfort in Sound was mellower than previous Feeder albums, but his first single, Come Back Around, was still a rocker in the standard Feeder mode. Even with its reflective lyrics. While the video would feature 4 female drummers to sit in for the absent Lee. On record, former Skunk Anansie drummer Mark Richardson would fill in. Officially though, since January 2002, Feeder has remained a two-piece. Sometimes in England, people can really get behind someone who's been through hell. But I didn't want people to like us for that reason. I didn't want the sympathy vote, because I wanted people to hear what a good album we had written. I think that happened in the end. Though Comfort in Sound's chart performance stopped one place short of equaling Echo Park's number 5, in many other ways, it was the more successful record. All 4 of its singles went top 25, including Just the Way I'm Feeling, the band's first top 10 since Buck Rogers. The album also remained in the UK chart for over a year. While they are no longer headlining Download Festival or playing the arenas of their heyday, Feeder are an enduring element of British rock music, playing at a UK festival near you any given summer, feeling a moment forever being synced to football highlight reels. Both Echo Park and Comfort in Sound have gone platinum in the UK, and they've released another 6 top 20 albums since then, with a 7th, Torpedo, expected in March 2022. But 20 years later, most when they think of Feeder, think of this song that consists of thrown together lyrics that wasn't supposed to be theirs. Nicholas's embarrassment about that one being the eternal indie floor filler is somewhat justified, as beloved as the song is. They have no sense of ownership for Buck Rogers. We toured with REM a few times, and they don't ever play Shiny Happy People, apparently. Michael Stipe hates it. He hates the lyrics and wishes he'd never written it. Every band has a song like that. I've written so many songs over the years, and I just hope I get remembered for a few more when I'm 6 feet under. And hopefully I won't have to talk about Buck Rogers again. Many have great memories attached to Buck Rogers, but Nicholas's own may be influenced by John Lee's relationship to the song. He loved playing that. He said the chorus made him so happy. The song's blinding positivity clangs against what happened to his friend. Living with that and playing it every night can't be easy. When Feeder released their 4 LP Best of box set in 2017, Buck Rogers didn't open the collection. It is instead midway through the first record's B-side, an indication that Feeder aren't the biggest fans of the song that had the biggest impact on British culture. But also it's a not so subtle nod that they are so very much more than that one song with the silly cider lyric. But as Nicholas said, he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. Have you become stuck in a rut? Not quite sure what you're doing with your life? You want to change, but you don't know where to start? Well then, Skillshare may be the service for you. Skillshare is an online learning community for anyone who wants to learn something new, where millions have come together to take their next step in their creative journey. This month I watched Self-Care Through Creativity, Turn Your Anxiety into Art. In it, Sarah Beth Morgan leads you through how to turn your inner struggles into art you can be proud of. But maybe you want to go with your gut feeling more when making food. With Julie Yoon's Kitchen Confidence, practical tips for cooking with intuition, that is also an option. Today is the perfect time to do that thing you always wanted to do. The first 1,000 people who use the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. So click that link, acquire a new skill, and become a better you. Thanks for watching. So do you like Buck Rogers, or is there another Feeder song you prefer? Let me know by commenting down below. If you liked the video, why don't you do me a favour and share it with a couple of people? This way I don't have to rely on YouTube to push my videos. Thanks a bunch to all that supported me throughout 2021. Have a good new year, and I'll see you again sometime in January.